always seems like there's that one achievement that nobody has. For me, it was the Dominator. Achievement. Now, if you don't know what the Dominator achievement is, as stated in the title card, you have to defeat 10 bosses in the survival mode in Remnant from the Ashes without dying. Sounds easy enough, except for the game does everything in its power to make sure that nobody achieves it, which is why only the 0.25% of all gamers in the last 4 years has the achievement, and now I am also part of that group. At the time of recording this, it's kind of like an intro slash epilogue, so bear with me. Now, once you achieve the unachievable, you also get 2 items. You get the hero sword, which is this right here. It's a pretty powerful melee weapon. You get the slash attacks. Charge it. It shoots a beam of power as well, spirit souls. And if you listen closely, you can actually hear the souls whispering to you. The other thing you get as well is also the goggles for the hero. Or survivor, should I say. And it just increases your pickup of materials. But they look pretty cool too, and then that way you can have your design shown as well. Now we're in the starter arena of the survival mode for the achievement. As you can see, the game does everything in its power to make sure that you don't achieve this by stripping you completely naked. You don't have any of your prior gear, you don't have any of your weapons, etc. What it is it gives you about $1,000 to spend on randomized equipment. Weapons, rings, etc. Not only that, but you also start with lower stats, and the counter, there's a counter in the upper right hand corner. So the counter on the top is for the enemy, so every 6 minutes the enemies attack power, health, everything increases. And then in order to increase your attack power or health or stamina and so forth, you have to defeat a certain amount of enemies within the given time. So for instance, if you defeat 20 enemies, then you might level up to level 2 and then your stats slightly increase, but it just constantly goes like that, and you're on such a strict time limit that is not even like feasible at all. On top of all that, on top of the time limit, on top of the starting off naked, on top of the enemies getting stronger and having more health, they have by far the most pinpoint accuracy I've ever seen in any kind of RPG game. Like when I say they don't miss a shot, they do not miss a single shot. Unless you are actively, intensely trying to move around, they will hit you 99.9% of the time. And they do a lot of damage. Like, and in this game, they fix it a lot in the sequel, but in this game, I call it the mob bosses. So there's like they just throw mobs and mobs of enemies at you at any given time. And in order to do this achievement where you have to defeat the 10 bosses, the way it works, I'll show you because I already have the achievement, so I'm not going to go through the whole walkthrough. There is a video on my channel for my last best attempt. If you want to go ahead and watch that one before you watch this one, I'll put it in the link. But pretty much the way it works is you have to go through 2 areas of one of potentially 5 or 6, if I stand correct, worlds. You have to go through 2 areas and then you fight a boss. Now every 3rd boss is a world boss. So a world boss is like a story boss, that's what that means. And then the other 2 are just the regular bosses, but in this game, like I said, they're all mob bosses. So the way that they structured it the way that they structured it in this game for the boss encounters. Even when there's good bosses, like they literally make you fight the boss and then like 20 to 50 of the same enemies that you have been fighting in the 2 areas leading up to the boss over again. Even when they're good bosses, like they're just mob bosses. And then on top of that too, for whatever reason, they like to put a lot of holes in the arenas just to like try to mess with you, to try to get you to like fall in them or whatever. Now in the second game, the one that came out this past year, Remnant 2, they fixed a lot of this. You know, they have more like traditionally solid Souls-like, to put it in layman's terms, bosses, you know, legitimate bosses. But for this achievement, like it just makes it 10 times worse. Because like I said, on top of you start off naked, you have none of your gear or weapons or whatever, you start with lower stats. You have a time limit, like just you have to run through 2 areas and then to get to a boss, and then when you get to the boss, even if it's like a lesser one or whatever, you end up having to fight, you know, another 50 of the original enemies that you have been fighting alongside, you know, the grunts, alongside the actual boss itself, even when it is like a legitimate boss. So it's a lot, and I don't blame anyone for not getting the achievement, which is why after 4 years, well, I guess 5 now technically, of this game being released, only 0.25% of gamers have the achievement. And if you're thinking, oh, maybe just not enough people play the game or whatever, no, a lot of people play this game still, even now. So this game and Remnant 2 are on the Game Pass if you weren't aware. Now, I actually just got into it this year, when Remnant 2 came out. I checked it out, you know, it's the Game Pass, so I always like to try new games, I like to see what's going on, so I tried it out, and I was like, this is absolutely phenomenal. I have always played every kind of Souls game, everyone, literally, Sekiro, all the Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, I have platinumed a few of them, or whatever it is technically called in for Xbox, because I have Xbox. Well, I have Xbox and PlayStation, but my online account is mainly for Xbox. And yeah, you know, I've even the ones that I don't have the platinum gamer score in, I've literally did everything. I beat every single boss, I explored every single area. Elden Ring actually do have the platinum in. I spent like 350 hours or something crazy on that game. Still waiting for the DLC to come out, right? So hopefully this year, 2024, I believe. They said it's going to come out, so we'll see. Fingers crossed. But I digress. Yeah, so, you know, like, I'm experienced in the Souls-like genre. This one's a little different, and I got hooked on the fact that you can play online, basically. It's kind of like a Souls-like, but it also has enough personality of its own right that you can differentiate it, from other Souls, like, you know what I mean, if you ever play them. Like, there's, you know, the market's flooded with them, you know. You ever see any YouTuber that like does like all the Steam ones or whatever, like, especially, like, I know there's so many different Souls-like games that are being released constantly, so, you know, it's tough to find the good ones. So I was happy to come across Remnant 2. Like I said, it came out this past year, and then I unfortunately backtracked, so, you know, it ruined it for the story for me, because I am a story guy. I like to follow the story continuity and all that, unfortunately, but it did ruin it for me, because I played the second one all the way through. I did, you know, most of everything in that one, and then I went back and was like, oh, let me check out this one, you know, let me check out the first one, which came out in 2019, if you didn't know. I didn't know, because I've never heard of these games before in my life. But like I said, phenomenal game. I find it incredible that they do like the Souls-like, they do the RPG kind of game style thing. They have the online mechanics, but it's so unique in the simple fact that you can like join anybody's game right away. In this one, you have to, when they join your game, you have to, you know, touch one of these world stones to like where you see like on screen right now where it's doing the flash, it like loads them in. It's like a loading screen. But in the second one, like anybody that joins your game, it just spawn instantaneously, which I find is revolutionary for the simple fact that there's not a lot of games like that. Even today with, you know, the better hardware and everything, and you know, a lot of especially online games, like they make you still start off at like a loading screen or whatever, you know, like for instance franchises like Call of Duty or whatever, they anytime you're going into a match, you always have to, you know, go into a pre-lobby, you have to, you know, join up and everything beforehand, and then when that and then you can't like, you know, rejoin or join until the next match starts. This I consider like it's an open world. You can play it single player or you can play it with friends or random people or whatever. Kind of like a Souls-like, you know, open world game. There's worlds and everything, but you can join whenever the heck you want, which I find just incredible. I know I'm just like going on off a tangent right now, but I'm glad I came across these games. If you've never checked them out, definitely check them out. They're on the Game Pass Ultimate. Remnant 1 and 2, so definitely check them out. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it's called the survivor mode for this achievement, the Dominator one. If you're watching this video, you probably know at least part of what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's a lot to go through, and the game wants to screw you over in every kind of way, and it definitely does. Like they fixed, I always say, even when I was playing with people on here and everything, we were talking about it, and it's an agreement that they fixed a lot of the mechanics in the second one, especially as far as the bosses go. Because like I said, there are legitimate bosses in this game too, but they're all mob mentality where they always even if they're a good boss, they have to just throw 40 other ones at you with the boss. So it's a lot to deal with. But like I said, I just started playing this probably in the last couple of months or whatever. I noticed that achievement, and I'm not really one that has to achieve every single kind of game to 100%, but if it's worth it, I don't mind doing it. And like I just, you know, reiterated in the last few minutes or whatever on how much like I think these games are innovative, I felt like it was worth it. I felt like as a gamer, it was my, not to sound corny, but my duty to like, you know, see it through 100%. And oof, it took its toll. Like I said, there's another video on my channel that I'm gonna put probably a link to. It's in the playlist for the Remnant games in the description. And if you watch that one, like I got so close. I was literally on the last level essentially at the final boss, and then me and my teammate just, you know, got screwed over by the game's mechanics, and that was that. And I had to take a little mental break for a while for the achievement before I had to try it again, you know. It's a lot. So I did so, and then I, you know, came back into it. Unfortunately, I wish the guy that I was playing with during the last video, I wish that I got the achievement with him, but it just so happened that when I got the achievement, he was busy, so I ended up going with another random, which shout out to him. You'll see his gamer tag in the next video, or in the next clip that I'm going to show. And yep, I mean, I wouldn't have done it without him. I mean, obviously I can handle myself too, but it definitely helps. Oh, that's a couple more points now that I think of it, on top of everything that I already mentioned that this mode wants to screw you over with. You can't heal yourself. So like in the second game and other games, you can buy like a self-revive kit or something. They don't even give you that option in here. So like right now how I'm playing solo, if I die, it's permadeath. I don't get res, I don't get nothing. In the second game, they do have abilities, and they have a dog mechanic or a dog class that can heal you at least once if you go down. But in this game, there is none of that. There is one weapon that does heal you if it's charged all the way up. But again, like I said, the weapons are randomized. You can see on screen right now. So the chances of you actually getting that weapon and having the money to get that weapon and then it being charged for when you essentially will go down, because you will go down a lot before you actually get the achievement, is like 0.5% or 0.25%. We'll make the joke as much as this achievement is, you know, the amount of gamers that have the achievement, including myself now, is 0.25%. So we'll give it that odds. And then on top of not being able to heal yourself, there's what I was, you know, trying to figure out how I'm gonna do this achievement, the Dominator achievement. I just, you know, when I Google the achievement, the reviews for the achievement or the guides for the achievement literally said to uninstall the DLCs, because this is part of the first DLC, the Swamps of Courses, I believe it is, in order to play this mode altogether. And then there's one after it that has like more story elements. But the reason why they say that is because when you have the DLCs installed, when you're playing the mode, it adds into those worlds, into like your randomized area that you can end up on. And the bosses on those two worlds, there's two bosses in particular. The one that I believe in the last video that's on my channel, at the very end, the one that I was, you know, that we died to right before, you know, essentially getting the achievement, is like this giant rat with a shield, and he just constantly attacks you, and it's just ironic. And then there's another one on the Swamps of Courses who is like, he's called a needler or whatever, and he just shoots needles at you 24/7, and you're in this small area. And ironically, these are both DLC bosses, and ironically those two areas are also the only two areas in the entire game and all the worlds that the bosses don't have a giant mob with them. Like I said about how most of the bosses are these mob mentalities, they always have like 50 normal enemies with them too. Ironically, those are the two bosses in the DLCs that don't have that, because they started getting a little bit better with the boss designs or whatever, but they are ruthless, and I would take the mobs any day. Even though they're BS too, I would take the mobs any day. So like I said, in the guides that I, you know, or not even guides, but like in the achievement recommendation, should we say, that I noticed for the achievement, it said to uninstall the DLCs. I don't think you can uninstall the Swamps of Courses because it is part of the Survivor mode. I could be wrong on that, but definitely the second one you can, which I didn't. Not unfortunately, because I ended up getting the achievement regardless. But the reason why they say that is because those two bosses are absolutely insane, and they will decimate you in 2 seconds. You will, I mean, again, like I said, I'm gonna put it in the description, because I'm still kind of like new to this, so I don't know how to add it in. I was looking, but I'm not dealing with it. But if you go watch that video, the last one where I got like literally to the final boss, it's the giant freaking rat warden. And if you just watch the footage, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. He is insane. You do not want to deal with him, so I recommend that as well if you do want to go try to this achievement. Uninstall the second DLC if you have it, so that is not in your rotation, and just try your best with the other 5, the base game 4 worlds and the DLC for the swamp. You still might get the needler in your rotation, which if you get to the needler, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. He will probably kill you over and over again. There is one way to cheese him if you have a shield, but the only way to get the shield is to go into ROM, which is like the desert planet or whatever, and then kill one of the non-world bosses there. And then after you kill that boss, you will get an ability that's like the unstoppable aura, or it's called something else in this game, and it basically is like a giant bubble shield. And the reason why I say that is because if you bring that into the needler boss room, you can literally just stand there in the spawn area and just shoot him and just dodges. He does like an arm attack every once in a while, but you can just, the other 99.9% of the time he's shooting needles at you, so you can just stand there and literally just shoot him, you know, cheese the boss or whatever, which, you know, these bosses, this entire game is just out to mess you over, so I have no problem with cheesing a boss or whatever if it helps you get closer to the achievement. That is my recommendation, but that also is very rare because you have to get all the different requirements for the worlds before you get to the swamps, which, like I said, it's probably not going to happen, but if you do, keep that in mind. Just load into this. See, swamps, of course, the first area that they land me on is the swamps. So I don't even think I picked up. Yeah, well, the base weapon's pretty good too. So I already have the achievement. Okay, you can kind of see it, but I'm dealing with it right here on in the footage. Now I have better footage than the other video where we ended up dying over the last boss before I got the achievement. In the next clip, it is going to show when I actually get the achievement this time around. So this is just purely, you know, gameplay, so you can see what you're dealing with. Like I said, there's a time limit. Lots of enemies everywhere. In order to level up your character, kill all these enemies. And then also that time limit when it expires. The enemy gets stronger. Help and so forth as well. So you're really press the time. You gotta speed run through these, and then there's 2 areas.
Come on.
The boss, and then every 3 areas is the boss. So you have to. Right now I'm playing this on solo, so like I said again, if you die, that's a permadeath too right now. Or if you go down, should I say, which means, yeah, you die, it's permadeath. There's no revive. Just keep an eye out for all these 2, because they have scrap in them and materials, which you're going to need for when you get back to headquarters to buy more weapons and stuff. There's so many of these like absurd special enemies. I can hear him already. Where is he? The knight. For the queen. So I just leveled up, so it increases my health, stamina, and then damage output a little bit. It also replenishes your health as well. So that where am I going? So I'll probably just go to the first boss in this video so you can see what I'm talking about a little bit better than me just talking about it. But like I said, there's also, I know I keep saying it, I don't mean to keep saying it, but there's that other video that shows a lot better. It's titled like Dominator broke me or some crap like that, which it did. After trying it that first time and dying at the final boss, I had to take a mental break for a little while, but I'm glad I went back to it. Mob mentality, like I said. And then all the bosses, they throw this crap at you too. The boss.
God, what is that?
The only good thing about facing this many enemies is that you can, like I said, in order for your character to level up, you have to destroy enemies. So obviously the more enemies in front of you, the faster you level up. Now the pistol is pretty powerful. That's what I'm using, is just a weapon, as you can see. So the first few rounds you can honestly just run with it, because if you do like armor or special ranks or whatever, you can potentially increase like damage output anyways. So if you wanted to just literally, you know, run with the pistol, at least the first couple, including the bosses. Granted, you don't get one of the crappy bosses I was talking about. It's definitely feasible.
Come on.
Oh, the other thing that I didn't mention is that on top of, you know, not having any of your weapons or, you know, stat upgrades or armor or anything like that, you also don't have any of your skill tree upgrades. So those little boosts on the ground are from like special enemies or like out in the environment or random traits. They call traits in here, so you'll see one right there. And they're probably one of the most important things because they increase, like, you know, there's one that's called an exploiter or whatever, so it increases like weak spot damage or whatever, so you have to really be adding them out. Keep an eye out for all that. On top of that, is that everyone? I think so. Yeah, and then when you're playing solo too, like the damage output is just so hard to do, obviously quicker than if you're playing with at least one other person. I always recommend playing with at least one other person so that they can res you. Not only just res you, they also kill enemies faster so that you can level up your stats faster, because you always want to be at least like 3 levels higher than the enemy. Like I said, it affects your health, stamina, your damage output, etc. How much damage you take, receive, yada yada. The other important thing is that they, in the guide for this event, like in the game itself, when you start the survivor mode, it tells you to have boss knowledge. Like the achievement says, 10 bosses in a row, we just go to these 2 main areas. So they want you to know every boss so that before you go into the boss room, you know where you're going to be up against, and rearrange your armor or whatever. Not that it really makes a difference. To try to help you out a little bit better. Be better equipped to be able to face the boss. But then I also recommend that you have just environment and knowledge. Like, it is generally the same, pretty much, areas on each world that you can access. for this. So once you got that down, you know pretty much like what enemies you're gonna face, what their weaknesses are, what to exploit, what the chests are, etc., etc. Like you're gonna literally walk into a room and know what the boss is. For instance, this is the second area. This area is gonna be the main boss. Now we went down, so in this area, down means good for the DLC because it's gonna be probably the easy DLC boss. Well, it's going to be the easy DLC boss as opposed to the other two, which are like a bug castle. So we gotta do this BS first. Oh my god. Now I do recommend playing with at least one other person so that they can heal you and faster damage output. The only issue is that the enemies scale with every extra person, so they get, you know, the enemies start off stronger, they do more damage, etc. For every extra person you have. You can only play with 3 people total. So that's why I say 2, so at least one other person so they can heal you and everything. But when you play with 3 people, the percentage is just way off as well, so I don't recommend it at all. Like, you will go down a lot more. Don't do enough damage quick enough. There's some, like, here it's another special enemy. Oh my god. I didn't want to do that. Shoot.
That's all you got? Ooh, that was rough. next? Come on.
I'm gonna attack from behind. The enemy aggression in this game is oh my god. Oh, there we go. This is why I didn't want to come back to. Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I already have the achievements out. It's gonna be on my YouTube channel that I recently started. It's Wrath of Wrath. If you want to follow me or whatever. If not, it's cool. But yeah, I just wanted to come back and see this real quick to make some footage. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. It's freaking brutal. Which is why only 0.25% of people have it after, well, I guess technically, what, 5 years now? Because it came out in 2019, so, yeah. So a lot of people still play, though. I'm playing offline right now, but if I went online, like, there'll probably be somebody joining or whatever. So, you know, it's definitely still popular. This is the first one of the Remnant series. Second one is, like I said, they're both available on the Game Pass Ultimate. And yeah, I will always obviously get further than round 1, but I'm also like sitting really close to my stream right now too, so not that you can see because I don't think the camera's on, but yeah. I digress. And yeah, just then you have to start all over again, permadeath, so you got randomized gear, weapons, your health is reduced, etc. Yep, definitely a tough achievement, but I'm glad I did it.